Have you ever looked at someone who seems to never break? While everyone else is buckling under the pressure, they are calm. While others are giving up, they are pushing forward. They face the same storms, the same setbacks, the same betrayals, the same exhaustion. But something is different. They are not made of steel. They are not superhuman. They are unstoppable. And for years, you've been told it's about hustle, about grinding 24/7, about a positive mindset. But you've tried all that, haven't you? And you still have days where you feel stoppable, where the weight of the world feels like it's finally pinned you down. What if you've been focusing on the wrong things? What if the secret wasn't about adding more fuel, but about building a different kind of engine? An engine that doesn't burn out, that doesn't falter, that converts every single obstacle, every single one, into pure, raw, forward motion. There are 7 secrets, not tricks, not hacks. Secrets, deep, fundamental principles that govern the inner world of those who cannot be stopped. This is not about becoming someone else. This is about awakening what is already dormant inside you. This is about the 7 secrets of unstoppable people. Let's first look at the world we live in, a world of noise, a world of instant gratification, a world that teaches you to quit. It teaches you that if something is hard, you should find an easier path. If you feel uncomfortable, you should retreat to safety. If you fail once, it's a sign that you're not cut out for it. We are surrounded by a culture of the stoppable. You wake up, you check your phone, and you're bombarded with highlights of everyone else's success. It creates a silent, gnawing anxiety, a voice that whispers, you are behind. You go to work, you face challenges, and you see people taking shortcuts, compromising their integrity, and sometimes getting ahead, and you wonder, should I do that too? Is this what it takes? You set a goal, a big, beautiful goal that excites you. For a week, you are on fire. Then life happens, a setback, a criticism, a bad day. The initial excitement fades, and what's left is the hard, unglamorous work, and that's where most people stop. They are not weak. They are just unprepared. They have been given a map to a treasure, but no one taught them how to sail in a storm. They have a car, but no one showed them how to change a flat tire. So when the storm hits, when the tire goes flat, they are stranded. They look at the map and think it's wrong. They blame the car. They blame the road. But the map is not wrong. The vehicle is not broken. You just never learned the fundamental principles of navigation, the secrets of becoming unstoppable. The great contradiction, the trap that catches almost everyone, is the belief that being unstoppable is about never feeling fear, never feeling doubt, never feeling pain. That is a fantasy, a dangerous one. The unstoppable person feels all of that. They feel it as deeply as you do. The difference is not in what they feel, but in what they do with what they feel. The common thinking says, wait until you feel motivated, wait until you feel confident, wait until the fear goes away. But here is the truth, it never goes away. So the unstoppable have learned to move with the fear, to use the doubt, to alchemize the pain. They have a relationship with adversity that is completely different from the average person. They see a wall, and while everyone else is turning back, they are already thinking, what is this wall teaching me? How can I climb it, go through it, or dig under it? The turning point in your life will happen the moment you stop seeing obstacles as stop signs and start seeing them as training grounds, as the very fuel for your journey. This is the gateway, and beyond this gate lie the 7 secrets. Secret number 1, the unbreakable inner code. Before strategy, before tactics, before any goal is ever achieved, there must be a foundation that cannot be shaken by external opinions, by temporary failures, by the shifting winds of circumstance. This is your inner code. Most people are governed by external validation. They do things for the applause. They make decisions based on what others will think. Their sense of self is tied to their latest success or their most recent failure. This is like building a house on sand. The first storm washes it away. The unstoppable person is built on granite. They have a private, non-negotiable set of principles, a code of honor that they have written for themselves. It dictates their actions, not their moods. It is their internal compass. Why is this so powerful? Because when you have a code, you no longer have to decide what to do in every difficult situation. The code decides for you. When you are tempted to take a shortcut, your code says integrity is more important than convenience. When you are afraid to speak your truth, your code says courage is acting in spite of fear. When you feel like betraying someone to get ahead, your code says my word is my bond. Think of a samurai, his bushido. His code was his life. It was more important than his comfort, even more important than his life itself. Now I am not telling you to draw a sword. I am telling you to forge an inner code that is just as sharp, just as precise. What is in this code? It is unique to you, but it must include things like, I finish what I start. I treat everyone with respect regardless of their status. I never lie to myself. I embrace difficulty as my teacher. I am responsible for my own energy. Write it down. Keep it where you can see it. Let it be the silent governor of your life. When you live by a code, you are no longer a leaf tossed in the wind. You become the wind itself. Secret number 2, the obsession with process, not outcome. The world is obsessed with the trophy, the number in the bank account, the headline, the outcome. And this obsession is the very thing that stops most people in their tracks. Why? Because outcomes are fickle. They are often outside of your full control. You can do everything right and still not get the result you want. result. And when that happens, when you are fixated on the outcome, you collapse, you get discouraged, you quit. The unstoppable person has a different obsession. They are in love with the process, the daily ritual, the relentless focus on the action itself, not the fruit of the action. Think of a master sculptor. He is not obsessing over the grand unveiling, the applause. He is obsessed with the feel of the chisel in his hand, the sound of the hammer striking just right, the way the grain of the stone reveals itself under his touch. The statue is merely the byproduct of his love for the process. When you fall in love with the process, you never run out of motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. But discipline, built on a love for the process, is permanent. You wake up and you do the work, not because you are guaranteed a result, but because the work itself is your reward. The act of striving is where you find your satisfaction. Are you writing a book? Fall in love with the daily act of writing 500 words, not the bestseller list. Are you building a business? Fall in love with serving your customers, solving problems, and refining your craft, not the exit strategy. Shift your focus. Ask yourself not, what do I want to achieve, but what kind of person do I want to become through this endeavor? And then, what are the daily actions that person would take? Do those actions consistently, religiously. The outcomes will come. They are an inevitable echo of a process mastered. Secret number 2, the obsession with process, not outcome. The world is obsessed with the trophy, the number in the bank account, the headline, the outcome. And this obsession is the very thing that stops most people in their tracks. Why? Because outcomes are fickle. They are often outside of your full control. You can do everything right and still not get the result you want. And when that happens, when you are fixated on the outcome, you collapse, you get discouraged, you quit. The unstoppable person has a different obsession. They are in love with the process, the daily ritual, the relentless focus on the action itself, not the fruit of the action. Think of a master sculptor. He is not obsessing over the grand unveiling, the applause. He is obsessed with the feel of the chisel in his hand, the sound of the hammer striking just right, the way the grain of the stone reveals itself under his touch. The statue is merely the byproduct of his love for the process. When you fall in love with the process, you never run out of motivation. Motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes. But discipline, built on a love for the process, is permanent. You wake up and you do the work, not because you are guaranteed a result, but because the work itself is your reward. The act of striving is where you find your satisfaction. Are you writing a book? Fall in love with the daily act of writing 500 words, not the bestseller list. Are you building a business? Fall in love with serving your customers, solving problems, and refining your craft, not the exit strategy. Shift your focus. Ask yourself not, what do I want to achieve, but what kind of person do I want to become through this endeavor? And then, what are the daily actions that person would take? Do those actions consistently, religiously. The outcomes will come. They are an inevitable echo of a process mastered. Secret number 3, the alchemy of adversity. This is perhaps the most misunderstood secret. Everyone faces adversity. Everyone gets knocked down. The difference between the stoppable and the unstoppable is what happens in the seconds, minutes, and days after the fall. The average person sees adversity as a sign of failure. They interpret it as the universe telling them, this is not for you. Go home. They internalize it. They let it become part of their identity. I failed because I am a failure. The unstoppable person sees adversity as data, as feedback, as fuel. They have mastered the art of alchemy, the ancient practice of turning base metals into gold. They have learned to turn pain into power, turn rejection into redirection, turn failure into foresight. How? Through one simple, profound shift in questioning. When something goes wrong, the average person asks, why does this always happen to me? This is a victim's question. It leads to powerlessness. The unstoppable person asks, what is this here to teach me? This is a master's question. It leads to empowerment. Let me tell you a story. There was a young entrepreneur. He poured his heart and soul into his first company. It was his everything. And after 2 years, it failed completely. He lost all his money and the confidence of his friends and family. He could have seen this as a final verdict. He could have let it stop him. Instead, he sat down with a notebook. For 2 weeks, he did nothing but analyze the failure. He asked, what did I get wrong? Where were my blind spots? What did this experience reveal about my own weaknesses? What did it teach me about the market, about leadership, about myself? He was not mourning the loss. He was mining it for gold, and he found it. The insights he gained from that failure became the blueprint for his next venture, a venture that would eventually change an entire industry. The failure was not the end of his story. It was the most important chapter in his education. Your greatest setbacks are not roadblocks. They are detours onto a better path, a path you would never have found without the initial obstacle. Learn to read the map of your own adversity. Secret number 4, radical personal responsibility. This is the secret that separates the adults from the children. It is the bedrock of all power. Most people live in a state of blame. They blame their parents for their insecurities. They blame their boss for their lack of progress. They blame the economy, the government, their partner, their luck. As long as you are blaming someone or something else, you are handing over your power. You are saying, my life is controlled by external forces. I am just a passenger here. The unstoppable person takes 100% 100% responsibility for everything, not for the events that happen, but for their response to those events, for their interpretation, for their actions moving forward. This is radical. It means if you're in a job you hate, you take responsibility for staying or for finding a way out. It means if you're in a relationship that isn't working, you take responsibility for your part in it and for the decision to fix it or leave it. It means if you're not where you want to be financially, you take responsibility for your financial education, for your spending habits, for your income-generating skills. This is not about self-blame. It is the opposite. Blame, whether directed outward or inward, is disempowering. Responsibility is empowering. It is the ultimate declaration of sovereignty over your own life. It is you standing up and saying, I am the architect of my destiny. I may not control the wind, but I can adjust my sails. The moment you take radical responsibility, a miracle happens. The excuses vanish. The complaining stops. All that energy you were using to blame others is suddenly redirected. It becomes fuel for finding solutions, for learning, for growing. You stop being a reactor to your environment and start being the creator of it. Secret number 5, the power of a long-term perspective. We live in a world of quarterly reports and overnight success stories. This creates a distorted sense of time. It makes us believe that if we haven't made it in a year or two, we are behind. We are failing. This short-term perspective is a poison to greatness. It makes you anxious. It makes you cut corners. It makes you quit right before the breakthrough. The unstoppable person thinks in decades, not days. They are the oak tree, not the mushroom. They understand that anything of true lasting value takes time to build. They play the long game. They see their life as a cathedral they are building. They may not lay the final stone in their lifetime, but every single day they are laying a stone, perfectly, with patience and precision. They are not distracted by the people building shacks around them, shacks that go up in a day but are blown over in the first storm. How do you cultivate this? You define your legacy, not what you want to achieve this year, but what you want your life to have stood for 50 years from now. What do you want to be known for? What impact do you want to have had? What kind of family did you build? What contribution did you make? When you have that long-term vision, the daily frustrations lose their power. A bad day is just a single brushstroke on a massive canvas. It doesn't ruin the painting. A setback is just a single scene in a long, epic movie. It doesn't end the story. This perspective gives you immense patience and immense peace. You are no longer in a frantic race. You are on a purposeful march. You understand that the journey is the destination. Secret number 6, unshakable physical and mental foundation. You cannot have an unstoppable mind in a stoppable body. Your psychology is tethered to your physiology. You can have the best plans, the strongest code, the most beautiful vision, but if you are chronically tired, malnourished, and stressed, you will not execute. Your willpower is a finite resource, and it is depleted by poor health. The unstoppable do not see their physical health as a separate hobby. They see it as the fundamental operating system for their entire life. It is non-negotiable maintenance. This isn't about having a perfect body or running marathons. It is about energy management. It is about ensuring that your physical vehicle is capable of carrying the heavy load of your ambitions. This means prioritizing sleep, not as a luxury, but as a strategic advantage. It means moving your body daily, not to punish yourself, but to build resilience and clear your mind. It means fueling yourself with food that serves as energy, not food that creates inflammation and fog. And it means guarding your mind with the same ferocity. The mind is a garden. If you do not consciously plant seeds, weeds will grow on their own. The unstoppable are ruthless about their mental diet. They limit the poison of negative news, toxic social media, and complaining conversations. They consciously feed their minds with books, with learning, with inspiring stories, with silence. Your body and mind are the temple of your spirit. You cannot expect to achieve great things if the temple is crumbling. Fortify your foundation. It is the bedrock upon which all else is built. Secret number 7, the certainty of self-belief. This is not the arrogant, loud, chest-thumping belief that you are better than everyone else. That is often a mask for deep insecurity. This is a quiet, deep, unshakable certainty, a knowing, a conviction that no matter what happens, you will find a way. You will figure it out. You will endure. Where does this certainty come from? It does not come from affirmations you repeat in the mirror, though those can help. It comes from evidence. It is built, brick by brick, through a history of keeping promises to yourself. Every time you set a small goal and achieve it, you deposit a coin in the bank of self-trust. Every time you face a fear and move through it, you make another deposit. Every time you go through a difficult time and survive, you see your own resilience. Over time, this account grows. The balance becomes so large that no temporary failure can bankrupt it. The unstoppable person looks in the mirror and sees someone they trust. They know that the person looking back at them is reliable, is tough, is resourceful. This belief becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Because you believe you will find a way, you become more resourceful. You look for solutions where others see dead ends. If you do not have this yet, start small. Make a promise to yourself today, a small one. I will go for a 15-minute walk. I will not scroll scroll on my phone for the first hour of the day. I will read 10 pages and then keep that promise. Do not negotiate. Do not compromise. Build the track record. Your future unstoppable self will be built on the foundation of these small kept promises. So now you know them. The 7 secrets, the unbreakable inner code, the obsession with process, the alchemy of adversity, radical personal responsibility, the long-term perspective, the unshakable foundation, the certainty of self-belief. Knowing them, however, is not enough. Information without application is just entertainment. You have listened. You have felt the resonance. Now comes the most important part, the integration. This is where you must make a choice, a real, tangible choice. Will you close this video and return to the same patterns, the same thoughts, the same life, or will you take one step, just one, toward embodying one of these secrets? The call to action is not to try and master all 7 at once. That is a recipe for overwhelm. The call to action is to choose one, just one. Look at the list. Which one resonated with you the most? Which one made you feel a pang of recognition, a sense of, this is where I am weak? That is your starting point. If it's the inner code, take out a piece of paper right now and write down 3 non-negotiable principles you will live by for the next 30 days. If it's process, identify one key goal and break it down into the smallest possible daily action. Then, commit to that action and forget the goal for now. If it's adversity, think of one current setback in your life and ask yourself with brutal honesty, what is this here to teach me? Write down the answers. This is not a philosophy to be admired. It is a discipline to be lived. It is a path to be walked day by day, step by step. The world does not need more people who start. The world is filled with them. It needs more people who finish. It needs more people who, when pushed, do not fall over. It needs more people who are unstoppable. This is your invitation, not to watch from the sidelines, but to step onto the field, to get muddy, to get bruised, to get better. The 7 secrets are your map, but you must take the first step. So I will leave you with one final question, a question that will echo long after this video ends. What will you build with the power that you now hold?